Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I have another book review, and I will be reviewing Cane River by Lolita Tatamy. I really don't know what to say about this book, so we'll see how this review goes, because my thoughts after I finished it last night, and my thoughts are a little put together but a little scattered because I really don't know how I feel about the book. This is a historical fiction debut novel by Lolita Tatamy. It is very old. I have had this book for at least 7 years. I bought it not long after it became selected as a read for the Oprah's book club, but I was not really that interested in reading it at the time, and so it's been on my TBR shelf since probably 2004. Dang, that was 10 years ago. I'm glad that I read it. I wish that I had read it sooner, but it is the story that Lolita Tatamy has created about her own family tree based on her research into finding out her roots. And one of the things that really struck me about her composition of this novel is that she put in so much work to get to delve into her family history and finding her family tree. And she started this in the 70s, before internet, before Ancestry.com. She actually had thousands of pages of documents and letters that she found in her work, in her delve into her history. That is amazing. And being able to find it in a time during a time period where you really had to put in the legwork to find this information. It was not just readily available. And she put all of herself into it. She quit her job. She commuted. She went from where she lived in California to Louisiana repeatedly to find information on her ancestors. And so that also just adds to, when you know that that's what somebody went through in order to find their history, and then they made this piece of art after the fact, that just adds to the enjoyment of the novel. I think she said she started the journey thinking that she was the product or the descendant of blacks who were born free. And it took her quite some time. She found the bill of sale for her great-great-great-great-grandmother to discover that she was in fact the descendant of slaves who were not free until emancipation. It follows 137 years of her family history, and she has composed this novel based on some things that she thinks happened, with creative license based on what she learned or knew about her female ancestors and the tone of the time when they were living on Cane River. The story follows 3 of her 4 ancestors. It starts with Suzette, who is the daughter of her great-great-great-great-grandmother Elizabeth. And then from Suzette, it goes to Philomene, and from Philomene to Emily. There is a recurrent theme of what Lolita Tatamy called bleaching the line. If you are familiar with slave history, slaves didn't really have a choice if the master wanted to sleep with them or any white person. And so as the descendants or children were born, they became lighter and lighter and lighter, to where when it got to the point where there was a choice to be made, then the choice was the fairer the better. In an effort to assure the security and the future of their children, and thinking that, I guess, it would change what was available to their children, but in the time and society that they were in, and this starts deep in the 1800s and goes to 1936. But regardless of how light or white they looked, they were still considered black, slave, colored, mulatto, quadroon to the white people who knew who they were. It struck me the inspirations or the things that each woman wanted as it goes to their story, where one just wanted a last name, then another wanted land, then another wanted an inheritance for her children. And so there's this procession, this gradual procession of what is considered or looked at as improvement in the minds of these women. I really enjoyed this book. That sounds so weird to say. There are some parts of the book that are hard to take, that are a little heavy. There are some things that are said in the book. There are some nefarious things that are done by both the female characters in the story as well as the white men who they are involved with. You know what's real from it. And she has, this is one thing that I really like. There are pictures of the people that she talks about. Like, this is Narcisse Fredoux, who is one of the nefarious white men, Frenchmen. There are actual newspaper clippings. There are pictures of the hand-printed letters that you really can't read unless you know French, because they're all written in French, but then they're translated into English for the sake of the book. There are pictures in here from when she was a kid where she has her mom and her uncles, and she's standing off to the side. She has, the fact that's in this book and the pictures that are in here really make it much more poignant and make it much more believable and give it such a greater impact. It starts off, she has her family tree at the beginning, and I kept going back to look at, and she said she changed some dates and things. I like history told this way because yes, there is fiction to it. However, the way that this story unfolds and the way that the voice that she puts to these women, the determination that she puts into these women and into their children, you can feel it. It's amazing. And I will be reading Cane River. That's her second book that was written after this. I finished this faster than I thought I would. It is 522 pages, and that's not counting the author's note. I did not think that I was going to finish it this quickly. I had this listed as a book that I would finish during the Battle Books Readathon. Not anymore. I gave it 4 stars initially. I might have to change that to 5 because the more that I think about it, the more I love this story. And it's really hitting home to me like Connie Briscoe's A Long Way From Home. And I absolutely love that story. I need to buy it. I haven't bought it on hardcover yet. If you haven't read it, read it. If you have any interest in reading a book about the history of slavery, this is a great story to read. I will put a link to the video that I found where it's her talking about the book on One Library. I'll put the link to that in the description box below. That's all that I have for today. So have a good weekend, whenever you see this video. Peace out.